Your everyday sports show without the corporate spin. Good to hang out with you guys wherever you may be watching on over 260 affiliates across the U.S. and Canada, all over the world, courtesy of our SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. If you're watching there, we appreciate it as well. Wednesdays are busy shows. Sam Yarnell with the day off. David Aardsma will be here a little later on in the program for SportsWrap Inside Baseball. The former big league reliever and closer joins us every Wednesday on the show. Kurt Helin here in 10 minutes to break down the NBA. It's SportsWrap's NBA Weekly. We've got playoff basketball to talk about and a whole bunch more. Odds and ends a little later on the show. The passing of an icon in the sports and media world. We'll get to that coming up a little later on. Also the latest when it comes to LIV Golf. But we start things out as we always do on this Wednesday. It's time for the big story. And a big story deserves a colossal sponsor, and that's our friends over at Colossus Fantasy. Colossus Fantasy pick'em games, peer-to-peer games, they have it all. If you haven't done so yet, make sure to download the app. And when you make your first deposit, use my promo code, SportsWrap. You see it there on the screen. If you're listening on the podcast, SportsWrap. I spelled it correctly. Use that promo code, SportsWrap, on your first deposit. Get yourself a $40 bonus on a $10 deposit. That's $50 just for putting in $10. Or an $80 bonus on a $20 deposit. It's $100 for just putting in $20. Go do it now. Or scan the QR code on your screen and use that promo code SportsWrap and get yourself a great deposit bonus with our friends at Colossus Fantasy. All right, the big story for me is threefold today. I got three that I want to get to, so we're going to jam them in fast. First of all, look, it was all fun and games when the Lakers beat the Rockets. But, there's tiers to this thing. There's levels to this thing, a lot of people like to say, right? It's one thing to beat the Rockets and to do it without Luka Doncic. And they got Austin Reeves back late in that series. And LeBron doing amazing things against the Rockets to propel them to a point where they can get to the next round when a lot of people thought they'd be eliminated early in this postseason without Luka and without Reeves. And LeBron James played great last night. I think he was 12 of 17 shooting, had 27 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, something like that. But this is the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they are a juggernaut. And even on a night where Shai Gilgeous-Alexander couldn't score 20 points, which is remarkable unto itself because he's done it a zillion times in a row, the Thunder were still able to win and win decisively. I mean, 108-90, it's not very close. I know the Lakers got it to within 4 late stages of the third quarter, but anybody watching this game could see it. The Lakers are just not in the league of the Oklahoma City Thunder. And by the way, that's not an indictment on the Lakers. A lot of teams are not. 95% of the league is not in the league of the Oklahoma City Thunder. The only question is how many games this goes. I mean, is this a sweep? Is it a gentleman's sweep and they win in 5? It just doesn't feel like this is going to be a particularly compelling, competitive series between these two teams based on what I saw in Game 1. Now, maybe Luka Doncic, straps it up and he gets back out on the court at some point in this series and the Lakers get a game, maybe 2. I got to tell you, if you're the Spurs or even the Timberwolves, if you think the T-Wolves are going to somehow win that series, heck, they won Game 1, you better be hoping the Lakers figure out a way to push this Thunder team, because this is starting to look an awful lot like what we saw last year, where the Thunder sort of steamrolled. And I know they got held up a little bit by the T-Wolves in the conference finals, but, I mean, let's be honest about it. This Thunder team right now is playing at a different level, which brings the synergy into play here. Because if we're talking about teams playing at a different level, then we have to talk about the Colorado Avalanche, who had this amazing regular season. Remember, they were on a record-setting pace. Then they had a little bit of a lull in the middle of the season, had some injuries they were dealing with, and then they picked it up again towards the tail end of the regular season. They beat the Wild last night 5-2 after beating them, I think, 9-6 in Game 1 of their Western Conference semifinal. And they are looking like a team that is hands down the best right now in the National Hockey League at the time of the year when you want to look your best. What's slowing down the Avalanche right now? What in the Western Conference scares you? You want to say it's, the Golden Knights if they somehow meet in the Western Conference Finals, considering, this Golden Knights team, a lot of the components of it have won a Stanley Cup. If you want to go with that, okay. But right now, the Avalanche look like a group that is better than everybody else. Up 2-0 in this series. They rolled in their first round series as well. Dennis Bernstein from thefourthperiod.com and SiriusXM NHL Radio will be on the show tomorrow to talk about that. One more. We don't normally do 3 in the big story, but I want to make sure we get this in today because it broke right around the time we started putting the show together. Carlos Correa has torn a tendon in his left ankle, we found out. And he didn't play last night. He heard it during batting practice, apparently. And everybody knew it was serious at the time. Well, today we found out just how serious it is. Carlos Correa is going to miss the rest of the season. And given the issues he's had with this ankle, you have to wonder if this is the end of his career. And if it is, what a fantastic career it's been. But shocking news to learn this morning that the Astros, who are dealing with a plethora of injuries right now, are going to be without Carlos Correa for the remainder of this season. They're going to have to figure out a way, sort of pick up the pieces and put things together. But terrible news to learn. He's going to have ankle surgery. You hope he makes it back. But, at this stage of his career, you have to wonder if this is it for the 31-year-old. He felt it pop during batting practice as he was going through his normal routine. And this Astros team has been through it. They've been dealing with injuries all season long, and now they will be without Carlos Correa for the remainder of the season. In an American League West that feels like it's wide open, I would be shocked if they didn't make some sort of corresponding move, maybe a trade, to try and shore things up at that position. But our best wishes go out to Carlos Correa, who has had a magnificent career, albeit one that has been plagued by injuries. Obviously went to the Twins for a time before landing back with the Astros, and we'll have to see what happens with the 31-year-old. That is the big story. We shift gears and talk NBA. Kurt Helin of NBC Sports is here next. Welcome back to the show. I've had my say in the big story. Let's see what Kurt Helin has to say. Because if it's a Wednesday on SportsWrap, it means we're doing the SportsWrap NBA Weekly. And there he is, the one and only Kurt Helin of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com, who I actually had a chance to dine out with a couple of weeks ago. It was very nice to see him.
It was great to see you. It was great to see your husband. That was great. He chose wisely, or you chose wisely.
Oh, he chose. It's definitely him. If it's food choices, let him handle it. You'll never ever swing and miss when Chung picks the restaurant. So let's talk a bit about the NBA and get into the playoff stuff. We'll get into what happened most recently, and that is last night. And I'll start with the Lakers because, while it was great to see them get out of the first round against the Rockets and all the talk about LeBron, and I loved him silencing the naysayers yet again. Even at the age of 41, apparently he still has something to prove to some people, which blows my mind. I watched that game last night, and for me, I'll put it in like political terms. When we look at somebody trying to win an election, they always say, what's the pathway to winning? I don't see a pathway to winning without Luka Doncic on the court. And even with Luka on the floor, I think it's next to impossible. I mean, I thought they did a good job against SGA last night. I thought they did a good job locking him down and trying to take him out of the game as much as possible. But Kurt, I don't see a pathway to victory for the Lakers here. Is there one?
No, not really. Frankly, with Doncic, I think they take a game or two, but I don't think there's much there. And I don't know that he's going to be back fast enough. He's not really close to a return yet. He's not doing much on-court work. And you're right, by the way. I think this was their best chance because it had been so long since the Thunder played, and they looked a little rusty early on, right? Like they looked like a team that just hadn't been in live game activity. I thought J.J. Redick, who, by the way, has coached really well, especially in the playoffs this year, but all season, his strategy, hey, let's blitz Shea, you make him give up the ball. Do not let him beat us. And they hold him to 18 points, which hasn't, first time it doesn't ruin his streak because it's the playoffs, but it's been a long time since he hasn't scored 20. And he had 7 turnovers. Like, they did everything they were supposed to, and they still got handled. Like, they're just, AJ Mitchell carved them up. Chet Holmgren was brilliant. There's just so much depth. And, as I've been saying, I think I wrote in my preview, I've seen these teams play each other in person a couple times this year, and the talent gap is sizable. And there's Doncic helps, but there's just a real gap between these teams. And I'm with you. I don't see a path through. And Oklahoma City is going to again win in. I picked 5. Let's say 5 for fun. Let's say it's a gentleman's sweep again. They're going to have plenty of rest and not be beat up like whoever comes out of Minnesota, San Antonio.
And LeBron, goes 27 on 12 of 17 shooting. Like, you got the best version of LeBron you could possibly expect. Is there any chance Luka comes back in this series?
They've been kind of quiet about what's going on, but from the reports, from what we've heard, he's not cutting yet. It's all kind of standstill shooting and not a lot of movement. So we don't really know how close he is. But it sounds more like if he's back, it's maybe game 4, game 5. And remember, this series is every other day.
Until game 5, yeah.
And the problem for them, if you watch that last series with the Lakers, when it got to be a little every other day, LeBron wore down after a bit. Like, it's still asking a lot of him with the travel to do every other day, and he wasn't quite the same guy.
Let's talk about the other series, Cleveland and Detroit, that took place last night. Detroit wins game 1 after escaping that 7-game series with the Orlando Magic. And boy, I mean, how good has Cade Cunningham been in these playoffs? I know he didn't shoot it well last night. He had 23. Detroit gets after it, but this is going to be a long series, Kurt.
Probably, but Cleveland's going to have to step up their game. Ooh. They were not as physical as Orlando. Or you could see Detroit like.
Could some of what we saw last night be the impact? Maybe one team feeling the 7-game series more than the other. I mean, could some of that have to do with it?
There is some of that. There is. I mean, it was a quick turnaround for both teams, but Wendell Carter Jr. in the paint and the way Orlando played physically had Detroit coming in ready for a physical series, and Cleveland wasn't there. That wasn't how the series against Toronto was. It wasn't as physical. Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley have to be better, have to own the paint, because Detroit absolutely owned the paint. Bunch of second chance points. I want to say 21, 22 second half chance points off the top of my head. They were getting into the paint and scoring in a way they couldn't against Orlando. Cleveland has, and this is the conversation we have about this team, isn't it? They've got all the pieces to do everything we just discussed. They have all the pieces to be such a good team, and they never execute at that level, and they've got to find a way.
And Jarrett Allen, you looked at how tough he played in that game 7 against Toronto. That's the Jarrett Allen they need every minute that he's on the floor.
Yeah, especially in this series. Again, Jalen Duren looked much more comfortable. Didn't score a ton, but I think had 7 offensive boards, and helped lead all those second chance points. Was just had a few blocks. Was just looked more like the guy who's going to be an all NBA player this year. If he's that guy, they've got Jarrett Allen has to neutralize him or equal with him, and they just weren't in that game 1.
Yeah, they certainly weren't. James Harden, 6 of 15, 1 of 7 from 3 in this game. He did have 8 rebounds and 7 assists, and the athletic nature. When you start talking about, we talk about this a lot with the Lakers, how they struggle against athletic teams. The athletic nature of Detroit gives James Harden problems.
Yeah, and he wasn't, frankly, great in the last series. He had his moments. And Cleveland, to its credit, fought back in the 4th and made this a game. But when it got into crunch time, they didn't have an answer for Cade, and they're gonna have to figure out something, blitzing or doing something, because again, beating Detroit starts with make anybody but Cade beat you, and they didn't in game 1. They've got to start doing that in games 2 and beyond, or they're in trouble, because if Cade really gets rolling, he's going to be, if Cade is the best player in this series, Detroit wins. It's that simple.
And boy, Tobias Harris in that game 7 this weekend. I mean, he really saved the Pistons' bacon. You know, he was the other guy. He was that compliment to Cade Cunningham in that Game 7 on Sunday night and Sunday afternoon. And now we'll see how he fares in this series. He had 20 yesterday on 6 of 14 shooting. All right, there is more to get to, especially on the Orlando front, because they fired their head coach, Jamal Mosley, which we'll talk about coming up a little later on in our NBA Weekly with Kurt Helin. And there are 2 other series to talk about. My Knicks! Could my Knicks be the team to beat now in the East? It certainly feels that way. Kurt and I will talk about it some more next. SportsWrap continues on this Wednesday. And so does the NBA Weekly with this guy. Kurt Helin of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com hangs out with us every Wednesday on the show. David Aardsma talks baseball. SportsWrap goes inside baseball coming up in 10 minutes. All right, Kurt Helin. Let's have some happy times. Happy days are here again because that guy, Jalen Brunson, and the Knicks dominating against the 76ers. All right, how much of this, the Knicks have had 3, historic blowouts here.
Yeah.
What they've done here over the last 3 games, 2 against the Hawks, 1 against the Sixers. My friend Sam Yarnell likes to say, yeah, but it's the Hawks and the 76ers. To that, as somebody who covers the NBA, you would say?
76ers just knocked off the Celtics, but to his point, in this particular game, there was a real Game 7 hangover for the 76ers that was very evident. They were physically tired. They were emotionally not all there. And New York is playing its best basketball. Like, let's make no mistake. They were absolutely fantastic. Brunson was fantastic in this game. I still think, it only took 84 games, 86 games, whatever it was, before they finally started doing what Minnesota has done so effectively for so long with Karl Anthony Towns, which is use him as a hub in the high post. He can pass if you cut off him. You can do dribble handoffs. He starts to draw people and it creates driving lanes for Brunson and everybody else. They're using him well, and now we're going to have to see what kind of counters there are, because Philadelphia, they are going to be better in Game 2. They were terrible in Game 1. I expect a better version of them in Game 2, but I don't know. We're going to find out tonight if that's enough. If they've got to get a lot more out of Maxey. They've got to get a lot more out of him. They've just got to play better all around. I'm willing to write this off for them. It's just a one-off, but the Knicks are rolling right now. They are feeling it. This is the best they have played all season long, and I don't know how you've got to rise to their level because they're not coming back.
Look, it has to feel. For James Dolan now, and this team, this group, it has to be trip to the NBA Finals or bust. Anything short of this team being in the NBA Finals has to feel like a disappointment with the Celtics now out.
For the record, Jolin said it was going to be a disappointment back in when was that radio interview, before Christmas even? It's
when they were playing really well. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was the goal, but now they just flat out look like the best team. Frankly, I wrote in my preview that the winner of the Knicks 76ers is the Eastern Conference Finals, because I don't think either of the teams in the other bracket, with all due respect to Detroit after a good win, are playing on the level of these teams. And we didn't see that from Philly in Game 1. You'll see a better version in Game 2. But New York looks like the team to beat. New York absolutely looks like the team really having found itself in the playoffs. And we kind of knew that was a real possibility, didn't we? This was a gritty team that played its best in the playoffs last year. They're kind of, to use the hockey terminology, they're better built for playoff basketball. And now that we're there, they're in a groove. They're in their element.
Yep. I talked about it yesterday on the show. For the first time it felt like the lack of experience for the San Antonio Spurs factored into a loss. I know Wemby had the triple-double. He was dominant on the defensive end. And by the way, he's got to stop thinking that he's a three-point shooter, because while his shooting may get better from there, he cannot sit behind the three-point line when he's getting pushed around in the paint and just say, I'm going to settle for these shots from, 25 feet out. He's got to get away from that, Kurt. How concerned are you about the Spurs based on what you saw in Game 1?
I really need to see more from them in game. More.
Now you sound like Wemby. This is just what Wemby said. I got to look at the data a little more.
No. I need to see them adjust, because you're right. They got pushed around, right? Minnesota is a physical, big team that just wore on him, and he did step outside. Now, look, he's actually a pretty good three-point shooter.
Oh, but come on. He doesn't belong out there.
He shot like 35 or 36% this year. He can knock those down. He's a good shooter, but to your point, that is correct. Those are your fallbacks. If he's not going towards the rim, if you're not he's not a classic post-up guy, especially against Randall, but you can get him plays moving to the rim. They can do things that get him going inside better than they did in that game. De'Aaron Fox wasn't good enough. They need those two guys to really step up. And I think you're going to get a better game, because I think your point was valid, that welcome to playoff basketball. It gets harder every round. This is the next level of energy, the next level of execution you're going to have to hit, and you're going to have to prove it. I think this is a 7-game series. I think this is a long, physical series.
I'll say this, and we don't say this enough. For all the things we talk about, Kurt, Chris Finch is a hell of a coach.
Oh, he's a great coach.
My God, every year with this team, he wrings out every last drop out of that Timberwolves team. So when we talk about the best coaches, I know we talk about guys that win titles, and Doc Rivers won one a zillion years ago at the Celtics, and he's still dining off of that. Chris Finch is a phenomenal head coach.
He is, and by the way, his post game, his planning was great. His setup was good. Post game, he did a really smart thing. When he's not wrong, by the way. Of the 12 blocks, I rewatched the highlights and went back on Synergy and watched. 3 of those were goaltends, and he put that out there. He's like, hey man, he said 4. He's like, at least 4 of those are goaltends. But put that in the officials' minds, because you tend to just like, it's Wemby, dude. There's a moment of, I think even for the officials, like, we're just going to assume he blocked that because he's Wemby. You put it in his mind that he's goaltending a couple of those, and you get a couple of those calls, and then you maybe make him think a little bit. Like, and again, this is where that experience comes in. Like, he knows how to play this game, and the 76ers, the Spurs have not played this yet, right? This is a new thing.
I only got 60 seconds. The Jamal Mosley firing. Is there somebody that makes sense for that opening?
Billy Donovan is the name everybody hears, and what you get with that, and I think what you'll see largely, is that they're going to run it back. That they think their team is better than it showed. Mosley's, one of the things you pin on Mosley is that their offense was uncreative. There was a lot of your turn, my turn, and injuries. There was a lot. Look, there's other things going on, but there's a belief that he just didn't maximize this roster. Billy Donovan maximized what he had in Chicago. It just wasn't much of a roster.
Kurt Helin, Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. I got a bonus question I'm going to ask you coming up for the YouTube website of things. People could check out our YouTube channel at SportsWrap with Jason Page to go and see that. Always appreciate you, my friend. Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Welcome back to the show. If it's a Wednesday, it means 2 things. Kurt Helin, obviously, has already joined us from NBC Sports in the NBA Weekly. And it means this guy is here. Look at that face. Look at that mug. What a handsome man.
I'm going with a little shorter beard. Do you like it?
I do. I've been trying to go shorter, but the problem is I can only shave a couple times a week, or it just gets tedious, so...
Yeah.
It is what it is. If you put the 2 of us together, You might have between me with the Botoxed forehead, you with the pearly white chiclets, if we could figure out a way to morph the two, AI will do it. Maybe I'll have AI do it. And we'll morph. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Hold on. Look straight into the camera. There we go. All right. I'm going to have AI morph us together before long. So let's talk some baseball. It felt like we just had this conversation. In fact, on yesterday's show, I actually used our segment from April 22nd, I believe it was, where you talked about loose bodies and Edwin Diaz and the surgery he has to have done, missed 2 to 3 months. And now we could have the same conversation about Tarek Skubal, who's going to have the same thing done and miss 2 to 3 months. Is it basically just a repeat of that conversation again?
Basically a repeat. I mean, again, it could be anything. That's the problem with the loose bodies. We don't necessarily know why or what's happened. It could be overpitching, could be just years of pitching, just normal use. It could be it just got in the wrong spot, came off. Again, it's probably bothering him enough, just feeling it in there. It's not like he's been pitching bad. It's just sometimes when stuff are in there and they're looking at, okay, we know it's a loose body. We know it's bothering you. There's no point in keeping this in here right now. If this was September or October, they might even have left it in there and just said, go for it, finish out the season, get it done afterwards, because there's not a whole lot more it can do. It's just you're at this point so early in the season. They're looking at playoffs. They have a team that should be around in it at the end of the year, and they want him there. And you know what? If there's a chance it saves the UCL, it might be rubbing up on there. No problem.
Okay.
Get it done.
Now, how does this impact the contract conversation? From everything you've told me about the loose body, sir, it shouldn't. But if you're the Tigers, you're looking for anything that can bring down the price on Skubal. The problem with that is if he walks in free agency, somebody, despite loose bodies, is probably going to give him that money. How does this change the conversation, David?
It doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, there's the thing about it. It's the best case and worst case. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. Sure. I'm in the front office trying to get as low of money as possible for as high of a player as possible. There's nothing you can use. There's nothing you can use against them. What's the worst thing you're gonna do? Is he might not win a third Cy Young in a row. That's basically your argument. He still has a chance. He might come back and be the greatest pitcher, the CC Sabathia of the second half. But at the same time, you don't want him to be hurt. There's nothing here. This is a big giant nothing burger. Now, again, here's the interesting thing. Now teams are going to have an option. They're going to be able to see the MRI. Mm-hmm. They're going to be able to look at that elbow and be able to see, okay, how is the UCL? How is everything in there? This is the only thing they get is a clear look as long as it goes down that line. If the Tigers want to sign him, they know what it looks like now. Because before they might have no idea what it looks like. You're just risking all the money. Now they get a glimpse. They get one little shot to see what it is. And when they go in there, I guarantee you they're going to be telling that doctor, take every picture possible. We want that to see that thing, see how it all looks. And Skubal will probably be saying the same thing.
Is 2 to 3 months long enough that if you're the Tigers, you're making a move now for a starter? Do you part ways with chips if you have to in that case? What are you doing in this situation? Or do you look at the division and say it's so craptastic that the top to the bottom is 2 games separating the top to the bottom of the division? David, do you roll the dice with what you have and just say there's enough here that we'll still be competitive here, and then we try to take the division in August and September?
I mean, one, their injury, their IL is just ridiculously loaded. That's just the amount of guys on their IL is so bad. You're looking at Flaherty too. You need more out of Flaherty. Framber Valdez. I mean, what the heck is going on? Let's just hope he didn't mean to hit Story. Whatever he's saying, he didn't mean to give up 2 home runs. Then you hit Story. You don't know what you have there right now. He needs to be pitching better. They need to go get somebody regardless. Even if they had a healthy Tarek Skubal, I would be telling them, go get somebody right now. The only thing, like you said, is that division is so bad. It's so bad. The NL Central, every single team in the NL Central, all 5 teams would be in first place of the AL Central. I mean, again, the NL Central, it's kind of a cheat code because they would be all in first place of the West as well. Like, that's pretty bad. So they need to figure something out regardless of the injury.
Yeah. Trevor Bauer's looking for a job.
Nah, we're okay.
Hey,
I don't even know if he's allowed that close to Ohio.
Threw a 7-inning no-hitter for the Long Island Ducks, man. He'll tell you he's never thrown the ball harder. I mean, Trevor Bauer. So you don't think there's any chance Trevor Bauer gets another shot in the majors?
There might be, but like it's completely disregarding that there was a lot more other problems before the one girl who it was an absolute piece of crap. Before her, there was other problems there, and there's other women that were accusing him, and there's other things the MLB knows that just isn't out. There's a reason that he's still not playing, and it's not because of one accuser. There's multiple accusers. We only get to talk about one.
Okay. David Aardsma's hanging out with us. We got him for another segment. My Yankees are just tearing up the world right now behind me. But the problem is they still look in the division and they're only like a game ahead of Tampa Bay because somehow the Rays year after year managed to put a representative product on the baseball field. We're coming back. More to do with David Aardsma, former big league reliever and closer, hangs out with us every Wednesday on SportsWrap as we go inside baseball. SportsWrap goes inside baseball every Wednesday on the show. I missed this guy with my week off last week.
You didn't miss me.
I did. I always miss you. David Aardsma hangs out with us on the show. Check out his social media, too. He does some fun stuff. He's been doing fun stuff with his wife on there lately that it's just it puts a smile on my face. What's the matter?
She posted one of me putting the fire alarm on. First of all, the DA53 is my social, but
Yep.
I was cooking like Fogo style. I was going to set off the alarm anyways. And the steak was perfect. Just don't believe everything you read on the internet.
All right, fair enough. The Yankees rolling right now, David Aardsma. I mean, look, as a pitcher, you've got to love what they're doing from a pitching perspective when like Elmer Rodriguez is getting starts and you still figure out ways to win games. Cam Schlittler has not slowed down at all from what we saw last year. You know Max Fried's going to be good. What in particular about Schlittler from last year to this year? You know, he kind of felt like, you know, I wasn't sure if he was more than a two-pitch pitcher. Now it feels like we're getting real development and growth out of him.
Well, you know, a lot of times that second year in the league, you know, you tend to have a little bit of setback, but because the setback is, you know, especially hitters have that setback. Pitchers, though, a little bit of setback, usually not as much because the league starts to develop, starts to try to figure you out a little bit. But you know what the best pitchers, and we've seen this with Skubal. When we talk about Skubal, we see Paul Skeens. These guys just kind of get better because they're figuring out the league faster than the league's figuring him out, and that's when you know you have a talent on your hands. And he's taken the rock almost every single time, getting better. He had a 3 ERA last year. He's looking at a 1.5 right now. I know it's still early this year, but he only had 73 innings pitched last year. He's already at 47. He's almost like he's like 3 or 4 starts away from almost being at that same number. So you have to give him as much credit as credit is there is to give, because he's figuring the league out, and he's every single time the beast of the East, and he's still pitching better and better and better. You have to love it. You talk about him being like basically a two-pitch pitcher. You can be a two-pitch pitcher, three-pitch pitcher. It doesn't matter. You have to be able to use it at the right spots to the right hitters, and that's what he's figuring out, is how to aggressively attack hitters with a great fastball. I mean, God, everybody has a great fastball these days, but then using the other pitches behind it to put them away. And basically, like, his walks are down, strikeouts are up. You know, he's going to crush his numbers from last year, and I love it. And that rotation, Rodon's coming back, and then you got some
Cole.
Garrett guy warming and getting Cole in the minor leagues.
Yeah.
It's not even fair. The only thing is, can they beat Tampa? They got swept by them when they played them last.
Yep.
Can they beat Tampa Bay?
Yeah, I know. Tampa Bay gives them fits every year. It doesn't matter how good or bad Tampa Bay is. They give them fits every year. The thing on fitness on Garrett Cole, I saw this stuff online with people sort of mocking his shape and the shape he was in when they saw him in a warm-up shirt. And I'm like, really? That's where we are? If that's where we are in the Yankees right now, they're in good shape.
Yeah.
Even if Garrett Cole's not in great shape.
I think Garrett Cole's doing just fine. The problem is a lot of people see like a little softer belly and think that's bad. Pitcher, like you can't pull fat, man.
David Aardsma, by the way, David Aardsma's got a 6-pack. I just want to say at the age of 40 or something. He's got a 6-pack. I've seen it. All right, Braves playing the best baseball of anybody. Even the Yankees notwithstanding, 26-11, but they're going to be without Acuna for a while. Is this them just playing it safe to make sure they have him late in the season?
I think it's being smart. Again, it's not like this guy is a spring chicken anymore. It's not like he hasn't been going through injuries. You got to be smart, but they're basically leading the league in everything, right? Hitting, starting pitching, relievers, like ERA, everything. They're basically number one. Defending, they're great. So they've gone through everything. You be smart with this. Don't take chances. You've got, Baldwin's killing it, Albies killing it, Olson's killing it. A whole bunch of the guys in the lineup. Obviously, the rotation. Chris Sale, like what the heck is going on with Chris Sale? This guy is incredible. What he's been able to do since he's moved over to Atlanta. Strider's still got. He's still figuring it out. He's still coming back. He's getting, first one wasn't the most prettiest of starts, but he'll get going. And so, dude, if I'm them, be smart, take your time. But I also don't want to let this train slow down. I want to keep it going. So it's like, all right, be smart, get healthy with that hamstring, and then come back as soon as possible. But, dude, when you're in this position with them and the rest of that division, just be smart, play good baseball, and just kind of keep this train rolling.
It's been a slow build for Nico Horner, but man, it feels like he is starting to peak now in Chicago. When this guy came up, he was a huge prospect for this organization years ago. And now you look, and Nico Horner's a star on a Cubs team that's 24-12 in a great division, whereas the AL Central, it's craptastic from top to bottom. The NL Central, the Pirates are 19-17, finally playing some good baseball, and you're still in dead last.
Yeah. How about that? Like they might have the entire wild card is coming out of the NL Central.
Good.
Again, things are gonna even out. Things are gonna figure out. There'll be trades. There'll be injuries and all that stuff. But you bring him back to Nico Horner. Yes, it's taken a little bit. He's got 6 years of major league service time. But I'll tell you what, I was in Chicago this weekend. People talk about him, man. They love him. They don't know about those other years. They don't care about those other years. He is a Cub, born and bred Chicago Cub. They love him. Him and Hap, like it's like these guys are like this there, and they absolutely love those guys. They both deserve it, and I love that Nico Horner is turning it on, starting to become that guy. And this team is rolling. They got a good team. They've built a good base. Like Alex Bregman, that bringing him is perfect. Obviously, we talk about him with the Red Sox all the time that they should have kept him with the Red Sox. That's why you go find a guy like this. Veteran, knows how to win. Everywhere he goes, he wins. And you bring a guy like that in, and they're playing great baseball.
David Aardsma, former big league reliever and closer, joins us every week as SportsWrap goes inside baseball. I always appreciate you, my friend. Be well.
Thank you.
All right, just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Wednesday. Patrick McEnroe on the show tomorrow wrote an interesting op-ed for the Wall Street Journal this week on college tennis, but not in the way you necessarily might think. Why are you going to talk about college tennis on the show, Jason? Talking about NIL and how it's impacting. We always talk about the impact of NIL as it relates to college football, college basketball, maybe even to a degree, a little bit college baseball. But what about how it's impacting tennis? What about how international players taking a lot of the roster spots on U.S. college teams is having? I want to get into it with them on the NIL stuff and tennis, but also this interesting story that's emerged here, and we haven't talked about it yet this week on the show. There's talk of a boycott of the French Open, which is just a couple of weeks away. There's talk, especially from the women's side, because of the amount of money the French Open makes and the fact that players aren't getting what they feel like is a fair share of the pie that is the French Open revenue. They're talking about boycotting the French Open. Is it actually going to happen? Could it happen? Patrick McEnroe on the show tomorrow from ESPN and TNT, who does a great job on all things tennis. Couple of reminders before we go. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast, available on all your favorite podcasting platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Odyssey, Amazon. Anywhere you get a podcast, you can listen to this very show Monday through Friday. It's fantastic. I promise you, well worth the listen. Also, the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel, the place to find all things Sports Wrap with Jason Page. Monday through Friday TV version of the show, available there. Commercial free, 45 minutes each afternoon. Go and check that out. We also have expanded conversations. Sports Wrap shorts are there. Sports Wrap shorts. If you have not checked these out yet, 1 to 3 minute long videos. When news breaks, we jump in with Sports Wrap shorts because we can't be on the air 24 hours a day. If we could, we would, and they'd have to pay us a lot more money than they're paying us right now. So Sports Wrap shorts are there on the YouTube channel. Sports Wrap shorts also available on our TikTok, Sports Wrap Jason Page, the name to look for there. Also on our Instagram, guess what? The same name, Sports Wrap Jason Page. And now, without any further delay, on this Wednesday edition of Sports Wrap, it's time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends. Sadly, the end for Ted Turner, who passed away at 87 years old, had been suffering with dementia in recent years, Lewy body dementia, in fact. And a lot of people are saying, Ted Turner, the guy who launched CNN? Well, for you kiddies out there, Ted Turner was the owner of the Atlanta Braves up until about 20 years ago, I believe. Ted Turner owned the Atlanta Braves and oversaw that franchise when it won a world championship. You know, he bought them in the 70s. They were awful in the 80s. And finally, in the 90s, they were able to live up to the potential that he had hoped for. One of the hardest working human beings you will ever hear about. Ted Turner passing away at the age of 87. He also owned the Atlanta Hawks, interestingly enough, which a lot of people may not realize. And it's kind of interesting in 1 week that we lost Ted Turner of the Braves and the Hawks. And we also lost John Sterling. And the two are linked, believe it or not, because John Sterling was play-by-play guy for the Hawks and the Braves during the Ted Turner era. So it's kind of interesting that both men happen to pass away this week, obviously both huge in their own ways in the sports world. Rest in peace, Ted Turner, the former CNN founder, the former Braves and Hawks owner, passing away at the age of 87. To golf. We don't know if it's the end for LIV Golf yet. Scott O'Neill, the CEO of LIV, says, not so fastly, Harvey. We plan to, keep this thing going, and he's going to fight for its survival as they try to find investors or equity partners or whatever it may be. Scott O'Neill met with the media on Tuesday and said that they're trying to keep LIV Golf alive. Bryson DeChambeau's already got plans, though, if it doesn't go well. He says, I'm just going to go back to you. I'll do my YouTube stuff. Doesn't have plans to try and rejoin the PGA Tour. He'll still play in the majors. He's eligible to play in them. And he said he'll go to tournaments that want him. So if LIV goes under, don't expect Bryson DeChambeau to come sprinting back to the PGA Tour, because it doesn't sound like he's in a rush to do so. John Rahm weighed in on the whole thing as well, and he's like, look, I'm under contract to LIV. And he goes, the way they write these contracts, he goes, I don't know how we're getting out. He did say, though, a lot of these guys were under the impression that the Saudi PIF, Public Investment Fund, was going to fund this thing through 2032. And now a lot of those guys feel misled because that hasn't come to pass. So it'll be interesting to see where a lot of these guys wind up if LIV doesn't make it past 2026. It still remains to be seen what's going to happen. They still plan to play out this season. They're playing in Virginia this week. But as of right now, a lot of uncertainty, to say the least, when it comes to LIV Golf. Bryson DeChambeau, we'll see where he winds up if LIV Golf doesn't wind up surviving. It's going to wrap it up for this Wednesday edition of the show. We appreciate you being with us. Thank you to David Aardsma for hanging out with us on the show. For Sports Wrap Inside Baseball, Kurt Helin, for the NBA Weekly. Sam Yarnell returns tomorrow. Patrick McEnroe on the show then. I'm Jason Page. Thanks for being with us. That is Sports Wrap. Bye-bye. Hi there, I'm Jason Page. You like what you're watching? Subscribe. We've got Sports Wrap shorts on this channel. We've got the show. We've got clips from the show. What else do you have to do? You probably follow a lot of other things that aren't half as exciting. They're not half as exciting as this show is. So what are you waiting for? Click the subscribe button, follow the channel, watch the content. Bye.